I would like to say that Yogi is very honest and he's not looking just to simply sign you up. He's truly going to see if there's a good fit. He was very understanding. So I would say he's a very honest guy. He will do his best to help coach you. This may not be a huge thing, but this is what comes to my mind is not to downplay the goals that you've set for yourself and not to compare your goals with other people's goals. Comparison is only good if it works for you and if it helps you.
Unlock your full potential. Develop a life of success and harmony with Yogi Sharma.
Hey Susheel, nice to see you and thanks for doing this call with us.
Yeah, no problem. Nice to see you, Yogi.
Awesome. Before we get started, can you introduce yourself? What's your name, where you live, what do you do?
My name is Susheel Chanda, and I'm a software engineer. And I've been doing Android development for about 12 years now. And I'm based in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's me.
And before we get started on the actual coaching and details, can you tell us a little bit about where were you before we started to work together in our coaching? What challenges were you facing?
So before I started the coaching, I was working remotely for a company in the e-commerce industry, and I accepted a role upgrade from a staff engineer to a principal engineer role, and I was just working on upgrading my skills so that I could become successful in that role.
Awesome. And what kind of challenges were you facing? What dreams you had that were not being fulfilled at the time?
It was a principal role, which means that we had the rubric which we could use to see if you're meeting expectations or not, because the role expectations were standard across the company. Like most companies will do that. Yeah, but I think there's still a lot of subjectivity in how those are interpreted, especially by your peers, and especially at a high level role like that. It's not easy to just say, hey, this is a checkbox kind of a thing where I did all these things, look at what I've accomplished and evaluate my performance that way.
Just because there's a rubric doesn't mean it's objective.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also understood that the perception matters a lot, especially from peers, because at that level, the manager really doesn't really want to invest a ton of time into your development. And so they look at what your peers think of you, and that's huge for them. And so those were the areas in which I wanted to improve. How to improve a peer perception of you in a remote based environment at a top company at a top level.
Awesome. I remember that when we started working together. And tell us a little bit about what are some tangible things you have seen in our work together.
So after we started coaching, I learned how to become more aware of the expectations that come with a role in a remote environment and at a certain level, right? And then I was into the role like over a year, but it was a high level role. So, it takes, sometimes more than a year to become like really successful and comfortable in a new role. So I was still trying to understand dynamics in the new job environment. So from the coaching, I also learned that. And then how to have a plan for goals that are worth pursuing.
So basically, the job and the beyond job goals and how to have time for and plan for that.
That's one way to summarize it. Yeah.
I guess any intangible things that you felt through coaching which have helped you improve generally, but not tangible results. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah. So I would say the importance of communication with all the stakeholders that are involved. The importance is like really underplayed unless you pay close attention. And especially in a remote environment where people don't take everything for granted, communication is key. So it's not just needed for exceeding expectations, it's needed just to do your day to day job properly, right? So, like how to effectively communicate, what kind of things to communicate, and how to be regularly in touch with all the stakeholders needed, and how to manage performance and perception. So, there's actual performance, and then there's perception of your performance, right? So, you have to manage both of them because you're in a position where you're supposed to lead with influence, right? So you cannot detach yourself from how people perceive you, right? Because you're using influence, which means how people perceive you matters a lot. So paying attention both to performance and perceived performance is very important. And it can be you can face different types of hurdles, challenges for different personality types. So from the coaching, I gained an insight into like what I should do based on my personality type.
And also, I remember we talked about perceiving your body language and how you want to speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would like to say that from our video calls, I was able to see many times, like you were able to like discover a few things based on my body language and perceive few things that I wasn't even like intellectually I wasn't accepting them, but you were able to catch them, especially things like anxiety levels or like how perceptive I was to the situations I was in. So things of that nature. I think you were able to perceive them. So that was awesome.
Seeing that in action, like where we are able to perceive things and see through the body language and help you through that instead of like being intellectually aware.
So I would say, yeah, shout out to your perception skills through a video call where you weren't able to meet me in person, but you can still understand what I'm going through and call it out and then work on the problems I was working on.
Yes, and one day I would like to meet you in person, but that's for later. So now, through our coaching, how are things different now? What are you looking forward to in the next year?
So I accepted a new role recently, as I shared. So I'll be a software engineer for a tech company based in the Bay Area. And my next goal is to nail this new role, right? I've learned a few lessons from my past experiences. I'm more self aware than I used to be. The goal is to contribute on a tremendous level, go in with much more self awareness. And then, after owning some of the mistakes and learnings and gaps that I've had in my previous experiences, just to own my onboarding process and own my performance review process and potential promotions, all of them. Owning means like leading them, like accepting how they're going, right?
And we have come up with a few processes that you're gonna use. And you also mentioned something about confidence.
Yeah. So, I think it's natural for people to feel underconfident when, they have minor setbacks or major setbacks in life. And just like any other human, I went through that process and it took me a while, but I've regained my confidence level, right? I've been doing this work for over a decade, but sometimes, even people who are I'm not saying I'm best in the industry, but I'm pretty skilled in my area. But I needed to take a step back and rebuild that confidence level. And I feel like I'm there now again.
Was there anything specific you want to talk about we did in coaching that helped you with the confidence piece? Any exercises, any thought process?
This may not be a huge thing, but this is what comes to my mind is not to downplay the goals that you've set for yourself and not to compare your goals with other people's goals. And I mean, it's okay to compare, but if you're giving like yourself a reason to feel bad about your goals, that's bad comparison. Comparison is only good if it works for you and if it helps you. It's kind of like it's a mind-boggling philosophy if you dig deeper into it. And Yogi is the kind of person that loves deep conversations, so I was able to talk about it once in one call. I don't know if you remember. My question was, if we're supposed to feel good about our accomplishments, individual accomplishments, how can we also then say when we face setbacks, oh, they shouldn't affect us? If positive achievements help improve our confidence, why shouldn't setbacks lower our confidence? And we had a deep conversation. We heard what other participants had to say. I loved that conversation and I enjoyed it. So thank you for doing that.
I remember the conversation about how, if you can't have both ways and how to actually resolve this dilemma in a way. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Just to change gears and wrap this up, when you started working with us, what were your biggest doubts or questions? Like whether the coaching will work and do I want to do coaching? What were your doubts?
I didn't have a ton of doubts. My only big hesitation was not having done this kind of coaching before. I just didn't see like how it can improve, what I can learn from it, and what are the tangible ROI that I can get from it. So that's all. I didn't have really any major hesitations.
And what would you tell that person, that version of Susheel, now looking back, now you have an understanding, you have an experience, what would you tell that person?
I would say make the best use of the introduction call with Yogi because Yogi is the kind of person who is truly into coaching first and not into making the sale first. He wants to understand where you're at. He wants to do the best to understand what your goals are. And then he wants to see if there's truly a fit. And that's where Yogi and his coaching team comes in and they propose a plan and you move forward.
If it's a good fit, we do move forward. Yes. If it's not a good fit, then
You're honest about it. Yeah.
Anything you would like to say to somebody who's on the fence thinking about joining our coaching program?
I would like to say that Yogi is very honest. And he's not looking just to simply sign you up. He's truly going to see if there's a good fit. So I would say he's a very honest guy. He will do his best to help coach you, and definitely worth talking to and doing the intro call with. Even if you're not ready yet, it's still worth doing the intro call.
I think that's the perception I have, is that whichever way I can help people, let's do that. And then, if I can help in a longer term engagement, then also we do that. If not, we don't have to push for things. And actually, anything else you would like to add to that we have not talked about yet?
I like the WhatsApp groups that you create, and also even for as a group with other mentees, but also the short group chat, the small group chats that we have, where it's you, Natalie, Gian, and myself, where I have the option to have like an accountability partner who is going to check in, but only with the understanding that it's going to help me. So those are also some additional like perks or bonuses that you can get if you want to work on any size goal. Yeah, assuming that it requires multiple weeks or work or something like that, it's good to have an accountability partner, and Yogi's team has made provisions for that too. So that's great.
Beautiful. Yes, whichever way can help, we do try. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your time and your presence, Sushil. It has been great working with you.
Unlock your full potential with Yogi Sharma. Like and subscribe for more videos.